Right, welcome back to the 12th Man, now a regular show on Thursday nights at 7:30pm. Tonight I'm joined by Mark and Danny. Boys, how are we feeling tonight?
Pretty good.
Yeah,
thanks.
good.
Yeah, good mate. Good.
Good. Tonight we're at the Button Oyster, Pinmill, Suffolk. Thanks for your custom. One of the Deben Inns. They've allowed us to film at all 7 locations. There is 7 now. They have got specials on, 2 for 1 on roast dinners on Sundays after 5pm. So get down here, or you could download the Deben Inns app where you can get all your promotions, and it includes a loyalty scheme as well. Like I said, we'll be hosting at the 7 Deben Inn sites over the coming months. But let's get into football. We're here. Thanks for having us tonight. And we'll go into it. It's been a week since our last show. I apologise for last week because we had 3 matches on. It was impossible to get a show in, wasn't it?
It was hectic week. The Sunday game didn't help. Cheers, Sky Sports. But should be back and up and rolling every Thursday for you. So.
Yeah, definitely. We've got a few minor functions going on next few weeks. I'll get round to in a second. But firstly, I want to thank Leicester City for freeing the Ipswich 9. I mean, if it was only to throw shade on our dismal record, it doomed Saints to a 9-0 defeat at home. That will take some beating, but they have got Man City this weekend. Do you reckon they can stop that?
Oh, I really hope so. I just want to thank Leicester. I was watching it. I watched the first 15 minutes, and then for whatever reason I turned off, and then turned on the last 10 minutes, and I was just like, "Come on, boys, come on!" And God bless Vardy, that last kick of the game. Yeah,
great player. What do you make of that, mate?
Oh, it's perfect, really. I have a soft spot for Mr. Hasenhüttl. I thought he's a decent manager, and he's obviously got a soft spot for Ipswich. He thought he'd come and join us. You
always knew he could deliver.
Yeah, I knew exactly, and I knew he'd help us out some way. Just got to work out when.
Yeah. Talking of thrashings, Ipswich pasted Norwich City for a second time this season. This time in the FA Cup to reach a first round proper. A 6-1 walkover in the cup. This means that they now progress through to the first round where they could play anybody. I mean, they could have a big name down at Phillips One or Portman Road, depending on who we get. That's good. Obviously, good for the women's football.
Yeah, exactly. They could have a big day out. What the men's team are like in cups. We ain't probably going to go very far, so they might as well try and see how far they can get and get a big tie against Arsenal ladies or one of the Manchester teams. It'd be a good day out. Yeah,
definitely. Other news: I'll be hosting an evening with town legend Chris Kiwomya, with my good friend Mark from the Ipswich Town Supporters Club. That will kick off at 7:30pm on the 19th of November at the Brantham Bull. It's £5 ticket. All the proceeds will go to a Charity of Kiwomya's Choice and the ITFC Academy. Information on how to purchase these tickets can be seen in the description. So take a look at those. Other news: we've got someone in on trial, Gabriel Osho from Reading. 21-year-old central defender. Is that a position that we need to strengthen on, Danny, do you think?
I'm not entirely sure we do. I mean, Wilson's come in and really impressed me, I'll be honest. When we got him in the summer, I didn't really feel like he was the quality that we needed at the time, but let's face it, he's come in, he's done brilliant for us, deserving of his new contract as well. Bit of depth, a little bit more, maybe that will help because we have the rotation going on. An extra body isn't going to hurt, let's face it.
Definitely not. Someone with a bit of youth. I think we're struggling at the moment with players coming through, especially in that defensive role.
Midfield is fine.
Yeah, one of those ones was Ndaba. We would have expected to be there and thereabouts this season. Yeah. I mean, I'm a bit worried about this whole, how you get defenders into the first team. It's quite. I mean, if you look at the two that have just jumped to mind were Emmanuel and Kenlock. Both of them struggled to make an impact. Yeah. What do you say for those other players that come through, like Bailey Clements at left back? They're not really going to get a chance, are they?
Most of the time we've chucked them in at the deep end. Wolfenden came in back end of the McCarthy. When McCarthy went, he came straight in, didn't put a foot wrong. Some of the others, and Darby's struggled in pre-season alone. In pre-season's not even fully competitive games. So defence, I think it's one of the hardest positions to sort of blood players in, really, because especially our sort of downfall in the last 18 months, 2 years. defence was always going to get scrutinised when you're conceding goals and losing games. So yeah, it's going to be tougher, and even more so now, because I think we're looking rock solid, apart from obviously the 2 games that we've lost. But you look at the course of the season, we're looking rock solid. So unless they're going to come in and play an absolute blinder, it's going to be hard for them to really get into the team. So yeah.
Danny, any further to add?
No, I agree about it. It's a really difficult position. Mistakes are going to be scrutinised that a little bit more. I mean, I'd love for us to Wolfie, for instance, him going out on loan. That's served us really well for this season. You know, playing at a similar level has helped us out tremendously, and the step up coming into side this year. And he's arguably been one of our best players this year. He looks cool and calm, a little bit too calm at times for me. I'd love for a young lad to come through, but like you mentioned, Kenlock and Emmanuel haven't quite done it for me.
No.
So we'll just have to see.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned there Wolfenden, and obviously his impact's had more of a tell on the Ipswich Town side this season than we actually thought it would. Toto's arguably fit now, or may not be fit. He's come back into the side. To be honest, terrible performance at Accrington Stanley. Not one that warranted any game time afterwards. But he's come out on social media, questions over his attitude at the moment, after a social media post seemed to suggest that he doesn't sit on the bench. Now, I mean, all right, I know players can get wound up about certain things, and I know that even as an individual, as a person, you can get overwhelmed by certain subjects. But he wasn't playing under 23 football last night. He wasn't involved at the weekend. I mean, where is he at the moment?
I'm not sure. He's letting me down, really. I bigged him up all season. He's sort of got his first opportunity in front of the Sky cameras, and he's sort of made me look a bit of a fool, really. I don't know really what's going on there. I think we said a couple of weeks ago, he's not in the rotation at the minute. He's got to get some consistency and get in the rotation. I don't know what it is. Maybe a little bit too much time with the wrong company at Cozy Club. I don't know. Maybe something like that. Hopefully he can get back. Are you
saying that the club's condemned him for having an interview with Alex Griffin?
They might have done. I mean, that shows it's a bit of a lack of respect for that. But no, maybe. He's gone effectively on the record saying about there's been a lot made about racism at the minute. The whole Toto song, whatever you feel on that. He's gone on the record to say it doesn't bother him, which it's not really the right message maybe to be sending to younger fans, more impressionable fans. So maybe the club aren't happy with him sort of doing his own little thing, really.
Yeah, and we don't know anything really, do we, Mark? And to be honest, we only see what we get told. But in the sense of what does Toto need to do to get back into squad?
Well, he's got to certainly play down side better than he did at Accrington. Go away, penalty was just poor. And actually, the Gillingham game in Leeson.com, he looked a bit shaky at times. I know it was his first game back. But things like the social media thing isn't going to help his cause, especially with a manager like Lambert. Shows he's cutting out the silly mistakes a little bit. And this is a player that's played at this level, so he should know what he's in for a little bit.
Yeah.
But then you've got, like I say, Wilson's playing well. He's going to have a hard job to get in, and if he's got the poor attitude of I don't sit on the bench and things like that, it's not Ibrahimovic, for Christ's sake. These little comments.
He's got to let
the football's got to do the talking. Yeah, absolutely right.
100% agree with that. On to other news then, just quickly. Town have drawn Lincoln at home in the FA Cup for the first round proper. The tie was played on the 9th of November, so that's coming up pretty quick. At Portman Road for a change, it's been a while, but FA Cup, it's just going to be another Leeson.com. We're going to play our youngsters, aren't we?
Yeah, probably. Lambert doesn't seem too enamoured with cup competitions. He seems to be 100% focused on the league. Be good to get some payback against Lincoln, but it's actually quite good to play someone in our league. It's maybe a good opportunity to see where they're at. I don't know how seriously they'll take it, but they've gone through quite a significant change at that club the last few months, so it'll be a good opportunity, whatever the result, for us to see where they lie when they when their fixture falls at quite a key period for us in December. You know, there's some big games in December. Probably, arguably, I'd say our hardest month. December going into the new year, we've got some big games at that time.
Yeah, and we don't need any extra cup games, do we, at all?
No, exactly. So, you know, I'd happily go out, but you know what our cup records was. Even if we got the bye in that cup, I think we would have taken them to a replay. So,
well, I have looked back at the FA Cup record, and it doesn't look too handsome. The last time we got a win in the FA Cup, I don't think you'll be surprised to know, was 10 years ago. And that is a long time ago, and that's discounting replays, because obviously draws don't read. I mean, I think I can't even remember who it was.
No, neither can I. So Magilton was Magilton manager? No,
it would have been Magilton. No, it would have been Jewell, I think. Maybe somewhere after that. Okay. Anyway, moving on. You know, we don't want to talk about that just yet. We can talk about that next week. But we need to get into the business end of last week. Obviously, it's been so busy that we couldn't get a show on last week. But 3 games in 6 days saw the end of an 11-game unbeaten run. Only 3 points from a possible 9. Based on early season form, you would have thought these were bankers, these games against Accrington and Rotherham at least. Personally, very disappointed at Accrington. Slightly better against Rotherham, but boss that night by a better side.
Yeah.
But with a clinical performance against Southend, who had a Sol Campbell at the helm for the first time, it could have potentially been a banana skin for us. We could have slipped up, and we could have lost there. I welcomed the slip up because we needed a wake up call. Personally, because you can't go 11 games without being tested as a squad and have a continuity that will take you through the rest of the season. Don't care what anyone says. That will never happen. It would just been unrealistic. Wake up call was needed, but I for one disappointed of the whole of last week from start to finish, and that includes Southend on Saturday. Now Southend, we'll talk about Accrington and Rotherham a bit closer when we get into the questions, but Southend for me was one of those games where you can really strike back, you can really hit them. I mean, they've just lost 7-1 at home to Donny Rovers during the week. I mean, Doncaster had only scored 14 goals before they went there during the week. A damn sight less than anyone else up there. They were going to be a team that we could have thrashed, but we didn't. And I was really disappointed, although I do congratulate the squad for being clinical. Norwood looked like he was back. Caden Jackson was on fire. There's plenty of positives to take out of that. Although now we've got another 10-day break. And that's really frustrating. So for me, I'm going to ask you firstly, what was disappointing over the last week? Let's go with you, Danny, first.
Well, it's the manner of the defeats for me. I'm with you. Actually, I think a bit of a wake-up call was needed. I don't mind us losing, providing we play well, but it was the manner of the defeats. It was just so poor. Accrington, all right, we're on Sky. Everyone talks about the sort of the curse, but it wasn't that. It was just the play was terrible. DeSalle was atrocious, in my opinion. I'm not a fan of Andre. I'm not shy to say that.
I'm glad you brought it up because we'll talk about that again this week.
Yeah, good. I've got some feelings on him, and the fact he came off at half-time says it all for me. But it was just a link-up play, and it showed that we missed Norwood because actually, first 2 games that we haven't had him on the team, come in Saturday, we just looked a little bit more intelligent. Link-up play was a little bit better as well. I kind of sort of say Flynn is the heart, Norwood's the brain. You know, we just look a more intelligent team. Caden looks so much better when he's up with Norwood, because when he's on his own, he struggles. Maybe it's going to be a bit of an unpopular opinion, but I kind of think Caden's a little bit of a one-trick pony. But when he's with Norwood, he looks a completely different player. He's confident. I mean, that free ball for the first, tremendous.
Sensational.
You know,
sensational.
But he didn't have that with Accrington. He was dropping quite deep, and he needed him to sort of beat on the shoulder and something like that. But for me, it was the manner of the defeats was what concerned me. But we needed to bounce back, and call it a must-win game is a little bit extreme, but we needed to bounce back with a result, and we did it. Performance wasn't great at times, but we got the win, and that's the most important thing.
You're right there. From all 3 games, if anything, what stood out for you, Mark, as a problem?
I think it's just maybe we've built up expectations, and these guys are low on. Some of them are going to be low on confidence. It's going to take a run of games. Seeing what effect. I think the players who play regularly can see how much we as fans have been enjoying the last sort of the opening to the season.
Yeah.
But it's just them guys who are coming in. I think we lost our spine in those 2 games. For me, the spine of our team, I don't care what formation it is, it has to be Holy. The 4 players who have got to play every game, or as many games as possible, it's got to be Holy, Wolfenden, Downs and Norwood. Yeah. And we only had, so for Acton we had 1. Yeah. And for 2. Yeah. And for Rotherham we only had 1. So I think we lost quite a bit of our identity, and I think I'm still not quite convinced with the formation. I don't think Lambert, maybe he's made a lot of it's not about system, it's about individual. For me, I completely disagree. I think if you've got a system, you can slot individuals in. And that can also help you weed out some players that maybe aren't right for your system. So like I've been saying, maybe Andre isn't right for a Lambert system, but because we haven't got a nailed on formation, we don't really know. For me, we should play 4-2-3-1, and I'll argue the fact of that with anyone. But I don't think we've seen it once this season. We've thought in pre-season a little bit, we've not seen it at all. 4-4-2 seems to be a lot of people's popular opinions. For me, it's a bit weak at times. I liked it on Saturday, but it was Southend. I was stood next to you, and you could see the confidence draining out of that Southend team once they went 1-0 down. Yeah. It wasn't probably an accurate reflection of actually how the formation works. So, yeah, I think for me it's just a little bit disappointing that, like Danny was saying, the manner of defeats, but there doesn't seem to be much of a. I suppose you can react too drastically and go right, completely rewrite what we're going to do, but at the same time, I didn't really see much of a reaction. It was like, 3-5-2 ain't working. Let's just go back to 4-4-2, shall we? Yeah. That was kind of what it was. Yeah.
Well, I don't know about you, but I was fuming that they even got a goal in that game on Saturday because they just looked atrocious. I'm going to get on to a few specific points about players. I've missed one off there where you brought up about Dazelle. But personally, did we do anything differently against Southend that we didn't do against Accrington and Rotherham?
Well, like I mentioned before, I think Norwood being back in the team, Flynn being in the team again as well. It's not a coincidence that I think everyone sort of talks about Norwood when he wasn't scoring goals, but he's an intelligent player. And it's his link-up play and everything else, and it's people around him. We seem more of a confident team. We seem to have more of an identity a little bit. And when you lose him, you appreciate, actually, we really missed him.
In some senses, he's worth 10 players on the pitch when he comes back.
Like I say, it's just the intelligence. Yeah. He makes other players around him better. Caden, a prime example of that. He's a better player when he's with Norwood, in my opinion. So that was the difference for me on Saturday. I'm trying to think what else really to add to that. For me,
Norwood was the game changer. Well, that's something that I was going to say. Norwood back and firing. I mean, Mark, we've been to every game this season, and we've seen every single one-on-one miss he's had. Let's just say that on Saturday that was a one-on-one that he didn't miss, and it was very clinical. The second one, exquisite, from that ball that Caden Jackson put onto his foot, left-footed into back of net. He's back, surely.
Thank you to Belgravia hair loss centres. They seem to have played a big part in that. But
raising stuff, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It definitely was. But I think we've got to give him the benefit of the doubt. I think we all know now. If you look with the benefit of hindsight, you when you go into a game weekend, you're purely judging it off that. Now we've had a bit of time. We've had the initial Norwood period, then when he's out and now he's come back, I think you can see from one game the difference in terms of his sharpness.
Yeah.
We don't know how much the scoring injury affected him, his confidence, you know. Even it's quite ridiculous to say. I honestly think the hair loss thing has honestly affected him as well.
Yeah.
It's all confidence, you know. As much as he's a lad we see who can take a bit of banter, you know, it may, you know, we just don't know. But hopefully now he is back, and I think the thing for me is strikers will always be judged on goals, but his presence in that team is unrivalled. I think, you know, when you go up and against an opposition team, he's always a nightmare for every defence he comes up against, whether he's scoring or not. He's always on every centre half's back, you know, playing to the referee, you know, trying to win us some fouls. But you know, I'm glad to see him back, and hopefully this will be the start and he can kick on. You know, 2 goals is a great return to come straight back into the team, score 2 goals. So yeah, hopefully we'll see him return to the form we all know he can achieve. Really,
definitely, completely agree with that. You know, there's not much more you can add to that. He's come back in the squad and he's done a really good job. On to the next one, in my opinion. Kane Vincent-Young is one that's really got me frustrated at the moment. Just similar to the Norwood thing. He came in and played 90 minutes against Rotherham in midweek and then struggled to play 50 against Southend. Was the player fit enough to come into the squad?
I don't think so. Certainly, judging by Saturday's performance, I don't think he was fit. I think they've rushed him back far too soon, and maybe that says a lot about Lambert's trust in Donatian and other options at right back. You know, we've seen Edwards play at sort of a wing back position against Gillingham, for instance, on the Leeson.com. But I think we rushed him back. I mean, he got beaten quite a few times by players that didn't really have a tremendous amount of pace.
And that's the thing that jumps out at me. He didn't look very good on Wednesday night against Rotherham, did he?
I think we found a new curse. It's the Player of the Month curse. Norwood's got it, and then he got injured and went off the boil.
Just to clarify, I got offered the KVY interview as well. So if somebody else does get it, it's supposed to be tomorrow, but unfortunately I'm tied up, so I can't do it this month. So I won't go into that. But you know, it's very unfortunate. Like you say, the curse is a big one. So let's hope no one wins it next month.
Just forget about it. Give us Will Norris can have it
could it affect nominees? Because Holy's been dropped on Saturday, and I just cannot believe it. I don't care what anyone says. Will Norris is an absolutely horrendous goalkeeper in comparison to Holy. The guys, you cannot challenge the guy for anything. He's conceded 2 goals in 2 games. Largely nothing to do with him. Poor defending led to all of them goals. I just could not believe it when he's put Norris in. And the only thing I can say is, did Wolves call up and say, look, why is he come on? Why has he come on? Why isn't he playing? Why have we lent him to you? You're not giving him game time. You know, we're the League One side. Have we bent over for a Premier League side there?
I feel like we've bent over and pulled our trousers down as well. I was scratching my head because I don't feel like Holy has really done much wrong, to be perfectly honest with you. Norris hasn't really impressed me in any of the games. I mean, Luton,
absolutely
it was poor. Spurs wasn't really commanding, but on Saturday he wasn't really challenged. But actually that disallowed goal in the 4th minute, he should have saved that. I mean, that was a very savable goal. I mean, I watched it at the ground on the TV and we had no audio, and everyone thought, the goal had continued the way it was, and I was turning around saying he should have saved that. That was poor goalkeeping. All right, he wasn't at fault for the goal they scored, in my opinion, but I do wonder if Wolves have been on the phone. I really do.
And look, everyone's warranted to be upset because the distribution for one mark is something you did not agree with on Saturday. How bad was his distribution as a goalkeeper on Saturday? And hold on a second. I have seen a headline. I want to keep the jersey. There's no way this bloke's keeping the jersey. If he's in goal next week, I will lose all faith.
He can keep that one he kept on Saturday as a memento, because he ain't fucking getting another game. But Lambert came out and said he's got a cracking left foot. I don't know what he's on about. A bit of fucked me off so much. He had that chance where we were 1-0 up, and like you say, we could absolutely fucking crucified Southend. And he goes, I'm just going to roll it to the edge of my box, and then I'll pick it up, and then I'll just do the fucking worst kick I've ever seen in my life and kick it out for throwing. Oh, jeez. I don't think anything got picked up on the footage, but literally, I know we talk about Whitby cam. If we had Mark cam, it would have been like purely Will Norris hatred.
And we didn't have the best of views, but we saw that in entirety, didn't we?
Well, I probably had a better view of the field than Norris did, judging by his kicking, to be honest. I think I could have had a more accurate kick, to be honest. But yeah, no disrespect to the lads. He's goalkeeper is an unenviable position, but he's no Thomas Holy.
Holy is unquestionably the number one. Yeah. No one takes him out of that position. Not even Bartosz Białkowski on a good day comes back into this squad.
He's just got a presence about him. All right, his size helps a lot with that. But even like in pre-season games, he just looked confident, and just the way he just knocked the ball out of defence. I was really shocked that he was dropped, because I didn't feel it was warranted. If he isn't back in the team soon, I'm going to be really asking why. Yeah. Because Lambert doesn't want to focus on the loans. Played lads that that are permanent signings to us. Then stick with Holy. Yeah. I just don't understand that.
Well, the thing is, we'll get to we'll get round to going to Rochdale in a couple of weeks' time, and we'll get onto that more in a minute. But if these games need to be taken seriously, and it's starting to. I mean, Accrington, we got all the way to Accrington. No team leaves or nothing. You don't get anything before you get there. You're standing there. Players get off the coach. You're missing 3 key players. You think,
we could all see it.
We're not gonna play well today. No. We're missing 3 absolute the spine of the team, like you said there. We got Flynn Downs back on Saturday for Southend. He's then gone and got himself suspended within 5 minutes of coming on the pitch. Yeah. I mean, what can we do to get this right? I mean, we're going to miss him at Rochdale, aren't we?
He's an absolute diamond, as I said. But we are going to miss him. Scouse as well picked up an injury, so we don't really know what's going on there. But I know it was only Southend, but I loved that midfielder, Downs and Nolan. That was. Yeah. If you could give me a midfield out of the midfielders we've got, that's probably what I'd pick. But yeah, we'll have to see how we cope. We've got the squad to do it. There's a lot been made about Emir Hughes, a very popular lad. I would argue I've yet to see the best that we know Emir Hughes can give us. Andre, if he is even going to be present, sometimes we don't even know he's there. Yeah. There's opportunities. El Mazzini's come out today and he say, "This is, I want to be in the first team." This is where opportunities arise. These guys, not just El Mazzini, Andre, Emir Hughes, even Alan Judge. They're not getting the game time. They've got to come in and take the ball by the horns and actually cement their place in the team if they want to be in it.
It's worrying, really. The amount of players we have in and around that midfield area. It's also worrying to say that a lot of them aren't performing, and it's worrying for me.
They're good enough. We all know they're good enough. Some of them.
But do we though? That's what I'm saying. Do we know whether they're good enough? I say you've got players like Downs and Nolan, who are outstanding performers in their areas, and they always deliver. And then you've got players such as Alan Judge, who's been drifting in and out of that midfield, now played 20 odd games for Ipswich Town, probably even more, and made little or no impact.
No, you can't. For me personally, they're good enough. They should be, on their day, but it's just how often do we see them on their day? Whether that comes with a few games consistency, maybe where the rotation doesn't come into effect. But if you can't get yourself up for a game, you shouldn't be at this club. They've got to understand how competitive this squad is compared to the rest of the division. You look at other teams. Gillingham, prime example. Their first team when they played us. We didn't really look like we were going to concede, but decent enough squad. Come down and Leeson.com trophy, absolutely battered by our second team. So they should be good enough, and they know the quality they're surrounded by, and they've got to raise the game.
Yeah. The pressure is definitely getting to the side. I'll just quickly go, bounce onto this point. Obviously, the Granit Xhaka incident has come up this week at Arsenal. The situation itself throws some lights on to what Chambo probably suffered, as a leader and a professional at Ipswich Town, and how well he dealt with that. And it's really turned around. He obviously went through a troubling period last season, to which he was awarded, the Player of the Season by the fans. Just some respect for the guy. Is a great captain, a great leader. Off the pitch, absolutely top bloke, friendly as, and you can't put a word against him. But it just shows the disparity between fans and players sometimes, and what's going on. What did you make of that, Danny?
No one came out a winner with the Jacka thing. Yeah. I think for a lot of people, they didn't realise that actually the abuse that he'd been suffering, not just him, his wife. Yeah. I mean, it's sick. He didn't react brilliantly, but he's human, and we have to remember that football is a human. It really grinds my gears when people say, "Oh, but they're paid X amount of money. They should just man up and get on with it." Yeah. It doesn't matter how much they. Like Chambers came out and spoke very eloquently about it, and I backed him to the hilt on it. And then I hear, I paid X amount of money, so I should be able to have my say. Yeah, of course, but it doesn't give you an excuse just because you've paid X amount of money to yell horrendous abuse at people. No.
There's a line. There's a line, isn't there?
I would say, respect, man, respect. Yeah. No one, like I say, no one came out a winner, but I actually felt sorry for him. I really did.
Yeah. I completely agree with that. We'll move on from that now swiftly. Looking at this weekend's fixture. Oh wait, we haven't got a game once again.
Poor Barry.
This start to the season's been very long, in the sense of we're having to wait for games now. Obviously that's to do with certain aspects, but mostly international breaks. Before we get to the next international break, which hits us in November, probably going to hit the Oxford game, more than likely. So make sure you get your tickets in before that one goes off sale. Bury. We would have had Bury this weekend. And earlier on in the season, we saw the demise of the two-time FA Cup winners, and they were expelled from League One. They've been advised to apply for the National League next season. They are still a club, in essence. They will not be competing this season. Currently, the club sit in a German on a winding-up order presented to HMRC. The hearing for this should take place in a couple of days. I think it's the 31st. So I think it will be live on Thursday, I think, somewhere around that time. Latest news suggests that Everton chairman Bill Kenwright offered upwards of £1 million to save Bury before they went under. Bury have made a statement, though, saying that the club aren't dead and have called out the fundraisers taking advantage of the club's situation. Our club has no affiliation with these alleged Phoenix startups. This is Bury coming out saying this. The club can also confirm it's never been involved or been consulted in recent fundraising allegedly for our club, or indeed has benefited from any fundraising by Forever Bury or any other entity. We're unsure where these proceeds are going, but it isn't to help Bury Football Club. So please be advised this, if this is what you thought. So Bury have come out and said that they've not received any fundraising. This may be a bit of a communication thing. The club obviously haven't got that many staff working for them at the moment in the situation that they're in. If people are fundraising, then I'd suggest it's probably they haven't handed the money over yet. They probably want some clear leadership before they do that, or someone's got to come out and say, "Oh, I'm the new owner," blah 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 blah. Quick word on Bury. Where do you think they are?
I think that they just need to pull together like you say, they need to pull together as one rather than. I think there's so many different. Oh, we could do this. I imagine some fans are clearly not wanting the actual Bury FC to die. There's quite a strange situation. I think a lot's been compared to Wimbledon. Wimbledon was I think it's completely different. They went straight to the bottom and worked their way back up as a Phoenix club. I think there's so much still to be discussed, really, that they just need to pull together. I think we said when this was all rumbling on, I think it seems so long ago now, but the Bolton and the Bury, when it went down to that last day, just don't let your club die. You just pull together and just keep it going. I know they're not as big as Wimbledon were. Maybe when they folded, they haven't got the following, but you can't put a value on the amount of loyalty and that that goes into supporting the football club. people go up and down the country, and especially in the lower leagues, you can go up and down the country expecting a 4-0 win as much as a 4-0 loss. It's not like supporting Man City or Man United. Well, no, not Man United, but Liverpool. You're not going to expect a win every week. It's they just need to pull together and get something concrete sorted. Really, I hope they do. Hopefully they'll come back into the National League. Don't know what will quite happen there with regards to promotions and that, but just don't let your club die. That's all I can say.
Yeah, that's another question in itself, how it works out with all the promotions. Danny, in the sense that Bury have died this season, it's important to note that chairmen, although they can support a club's wealth and ability in the leagues, they can also take it away. And in this sense, they may well have been in debt when their new owner had taken over, but this guy is a guy who's probably, I think, has been done for 21 businesses prior to owning Bury. How has he even got in charge of it?
Well, that's the most concerning thing, and the Football League have got to look at this. Yeah. It's easy to buy a football club, but it's even harder to run it properly, and they've got to look at the way they assess new owners. It's a travesty. I mean, they're not a big club like Mark says, but this is a club that the community relies on. Businesses and people who have lost their livelihood because of this a-hole, and he is that. I mean, he's an absolute arsehole. I listen to him on Talk Sport and things like that, and you just can't trust him.
Completely unfounded, weren't he? Completely unfounded. Never had an answer for anything. Scooted around the truth every time, and I heard exactly the same things as you did. Had the players on and everything, contesting what he was saying. Didn't have an answer for anything. All he said was the PFA are going to support us in paying the wages. I mean, the guy was an absolute leech, leaning on probably one of the best establishments this country has, which is the PFA, supporting players through thick and thin. But he was absolutely taking the piss out of the foundations of football, and the guy didn't care. At the end of the day,
I mean, he said himself he wasn't a football fan. I don't think he bought them for £1, but he didn't even know they had a football club in Bury or something along those lines.
Never been to Bury.
Never been to Bury. Sorry, that's what it was. And it's got to stop. It really has. Clubs like Bolton and Bury, we nearly lost Bolton. We've lost Bury. I remember us when we were in administration. I remember how hard it was on us, and wouldn't wish that on anyone.
No.
And then you see what's happened to them. It's extremely sad.
Yeah, definitely. Moving on then, let's look at the game we've got coming up next. And ironically, it's a side that neighbours Bury, Rochdale. I mean, this game should have taken place a long time ago, before any of this happened. Yeah. But now we know a bit more about Rochdale than we did before. Brian Barry Murphy's side are by no means world beaters, but can grind out results. Beating the likes of Bolton, Tranmere, Accrington and Southend and MK Dons, teams we've only taken 12 points from this season, and they've taken 15. 3 of those wins coming in the last 4 games. However, they lost to Oxford on Saturday, who themselves are unbeaten in 8 games. They also have Bristol Rovers this Saturday before they face Town on Tuesday. Danger man is Ian Henderson, without a shadow of a doubt. This guy can score goals. Yeah. Joined Rochdale from a small club called Colchester. Never heard of him before. Back in February 2013. He scored 105 league and 14 domestic cup goals for Rochdale. This includes the 9 he's netted this term, 5 of which he has netted in the last 5.
Sign him up.
34 now, so he's beyond our means. He will end his career at Rochdale, no doubt. But a good player, and they've got some other good players as well. Town have a few extra days off, which could be beneficial to the likes of Kane Vincent Young. Could we see any further returners to action? Searsy couldn't be far off, could he?
Yeah, I'm not. There's a lot been made about him. We've seen him. He's popped up now and again. I've seen him in Grant Ward's Instagram stories and a few sort of club releases as well. So yeah, you know what Lambert's like. We don't even know who's going to be available for a match day, let alone the media or anyone. So he's got to force his way in though. I think we might see him well, we're through to the next round of the Leeson.com Trophy. Maybe that'll be, I don't know when that fixture will fall, but I think maybe that's probably where he'll start to be reintroduced, and then go from there. See if he can dislodge. Was it what we said, Jawwood or Jackwood or whatever we're gonna?
Never ever heard that said before, but little's been said about Teddy Bishop, and I don't think the name's been mentioned since summer. What is going on with this guy? He just cannot be free of injury.
It's sad. I was a really big fan of Teddy when I saw him, watched him a hell of a lot in the academy days and things like that. I mean, you look at it, you say, yeah, we got Teddy out, Lancaster's out, long-term injuries. Tristan Nydam, I think had he not got injured in pre-season, I think he would have got a go this year. I really do. Maybe this is Teddy's destiny, that unfortunately he's just going to be plagued by injuries. It's really sad because I think he's got more natural potential than Andre, I'll be honest with you.
Well, let's just say, when Teddy Bishop was fit last season, he was looking frightening. He was running through championship defences like they weren't there. And the only thing he did lack was goals. I mean, the guy had undoubted, ability on the ball. He could have done more with it at times, but what he did do was perfect, and definitely helped us, progress from that position that we're in the sense of, morale and how we look at games. But, talking about how we can move on as a club, there's plenty of people that can come into this squad, plenty of people that can come out of it. How important is it that we get a win at Rochdale?
Well, this will be the third game we've come off a break, isn't it? Yeah. So, okay, this isn't an international break, but a break nonetheless. We haven't won a game. It's important that we don't get complacent. This is going to happen again next month, I'm sure, with the Oxford game. We've just got to be very careful, and it could even happen later down the line. Depending on how fellow teams in League One do in the FA Cup, there's potential for more games to get cancelled later down the line. If we don't progress, even if we progress ourselves, that there's going to be potential gaps appear in the fixture list and congestion to come later down the line. So, Rochdale, I can't, Ian Henderson aside, can't think of many players that they've got. Obviously they had their big night out at United. I can't really think of anyone that's going to pose us a threat. So really, on paper don't win you a football game, but we should be able to go up there. Hopefully we'll see some fireworks.
Our next two, I missed that one. Well done. Our next two league games look to be Blackpool and Wickham, obviously with Oxford, postponed, likely to be postponed. We need to get points now. We've got some frightening games coming up. If you look at the league table, we're looking to play in the next 6 games after this Rochdale game. At least 4 of the top 6. Yeah. Whether that be at Portman Road or not is another question. But are we struggling for form at Portman Road for a reason?
I mean, teams are coming here to obviously stop us, and they'll put 10 men behind the ball, whatever. We're top of the league for a reason, and we are a big club in this league. People are going to come here and they're going to try and frustrate us. Rotherham were a prime example of that. Yeah, they're the better team as well, but we've got to beat these teams. We've got to beat the teams around us. We've won games 1-0 and things like that. That is the mark of champions as well, in my opinion. You look at Sunderland last year; they drew too many games, and that's why they didn't get up to automatics. You've got to beat the teams around you. Yeah. Stamp your authority as well in the league and show this is what we're capable of as well. Yeah. But we have got some difficult games coming up. Yeah. Rochdale, I don't think it's going to be an easy game at all. No. I beat them on FIFA, but I don't know a tremendous about them. But they're good by all accounts. Yeah. They're a good team. They play football.
They grind out results. I mean, in the last 4, they've won 3 of those. Yeah. Lost on Saturday, so they can beat teams. They're beating teams that we've beaten quite easily this season. I would suggest, but. In terms of what we do on the road, we're doing much better away from home now than we're doing at Portman Road. My worry is this situation is that we're not beating sides. We're not actually going out there and beating them, someone may take a positive. So you may be watching this and taking a positive from a 1-0 defeat of any side, but there are negatives there. Not being able to break down sides, to take the points comfortably each week is a frustrating thing.
Yeah. Going back to your point about Portman Road, there's something I need to get off my chest. It's fucking me right off. Booing at half-time, or booing in general, like, literally what's the point? You might as well get in the fucking bin. Like, don't even fucking bother coming to Portman Road, because I've seen categorically football at least 10 times worse than that under McCarthy and other managers. You know, we've come off a season where, you know, we weren't even booing this, you know, in the back end of last season. I knew we all knew we were going down. That's not the point. You know, there's some performances in there which are goddamn awful, but we weren't booing. These boys are coming into a situation where, you know, they're not used to winning games. Now we need to carry that support that we had when we were, you know, we had those run the draws. We need to carry that into winning. I think the problem at Portman Road is the weight of expectations. You know, we all joke about the HMS Pistol League, 100 points, 100 goals. Ultimately, we are good enough to do that, but that comes from not only the team, it comes from us as fans. So if you're going to boo, you might as well stay at fucking home, because I can't be dealing with it, to be honest. As for beating teams 1-0, you know, I think a lot of it's come down to chances, and time will tell. You know, Norwood is back hopefully now. Hopefully him and Jackson can rekindle their little partnership and we can push on. We just got to be taking the chances. Judge has got to finally find the back of the net. I don't know what he has to do to buy a goal. Nolan probably, you know, I think the last 2 or 3 games he's had a few chances where maybe he could have done a bit better and actually put it in the back of the net, you know, and we need goals to come from midfield. Sadly, Scooser's never going to do that, maybe once in a blue moon, but you know, Flynn's got it in him, we've seen it. Like I said, Nolan, Hughes can score a goal. It's all got to click together. If we're all united, no fucking booing, you know, it will hopefully
yeah,
get there.
We've not got out of that state for a reason. We say it every week, we're still in second gear and we're not pushing forward, and that is ultimately going to cost us points at the end. See, we've already seen it last week. It's cost us 6 valuable points that we could, you know, we've been storming the league if we had that. So yeah, enough of that anyway. We've got a busy month in store. We're playing in 3 different competitions. However, as always, we will be at every match. Why not hit the subscribe button? We're on 2,111 at the moment, I think. Obviously, this airs on Thursday, so it may be more than that. But just, you know, right-hand corner, there's a little icon, IpswichFanzone, #1 fan channel. Remember that as well. Number one, undisputed. So just absolutely just click on that and press subscribe. I mean, all your support is appreciated. The more support we have, the more powerful we can be as a collective. You can come on here and have a chat. Danny, it's your first time tonight. How have you felt, mate?
It's been great. I really appreciate it. Like I said to you before the camera came on, been a big fan of you guys for about a year. So to have the opportunity to come on and talk to you guys, I've really enjoyed it.
Definitely, mate. We'll have you back 100%. What do you reckon, Mark?
Yeah, definitely have him back. Definitely
In the top 10 of the ones we've had come on here.
Definitely. He's well up there. Definitely.
Anyway, we come from the Button Oyster tonight. Thanks for your custom. The drinks they put on as well. Danny got a free drink, didn't he, mate?
Yeah.
They didn't get me one though, but you know, we'll see what happens. I can only have one because I'm driving. But until next week, let's hope we can get a win at Rochdale. Yeah. Actually, we might come from the road on Rochdale next week because
from the Airbnb.
From the Airbnb, live from the Airbnb. No, but we'll see. We'll let you know about that. Until next week, come on, you Blues.